The Celestial Council had convened an emergency session for the first time in 3,000 cycles. Across the amphitheater of stars, representatives from 100 worlds flickered in holographic suspension, their attention fixed on a single impossible image, a human, sleeping peacefully between two Zothreen princesses. Camden hadn't meant to start an intergalactic incident. He'd simply been trying to survive. The mining colony on Threshold 7 had seemed like any other backwater posting, dangerous, remote, and mercifully free from the complexities of the greater galaxy. Humans were still newcomers to the cosmic stage, their presence tolerated, but not celebrated. They were the labor force, the mechanics, the ones who could survive in conditions that broke more refined species. But everything changed the night the Zothreen vessel crashed. Camden had been running diagnostics on the eastern drill array when the sky tore open. The ship's sleek, crystalline, impossibly beautiful, had carved a burning arc across Threshold 7's methane sky before slamming into the ice fields 3 kilometers from the colony. Protocol demanded he report it. Common sense demanded he stay away. He did neither. What he found in the wreckage defied every briefing he'd received about the Zothreen. The insectoid race was legendary, ancient beyond measure, powerful beyond comprehension, and utterly xenophobic. They considered most species beneath notice, humans particularly so. Their queens ruled entire sectors, and their daughters were said to be living weapons, engineered for perfection. 2 of those daughters now lay unconscious in the twisted remains of their ship. Khaleesi stirred first, her compound eyes flickering with bioluminescent fury as she registered Camden's presence. Her carapace was cracked, leaking the silver ichor that passed for Zothreen blood. Her sister, smaller, younger, remained motionless beside her. "Stay back, human," Khaleesi hissed, her translator barely functional. "Touch us and the Queen's vengeance will." She collapsed mid-threat. Camden had perhaps 30 seconds to make a decision that would reshape galactic politics. The temperatures on Threshold 7 dropped to -100 at night. The Zothreen, for all their biological superiority, were cold-blooded. Without heat, without shelter, they would die. He carried them both to his hab unit. The galaxy would later debate what happened in those 3 days. Xenobiologists argued it was impossible that human body heat couldn't sustain Zothreen physiology, that the pheromone incompatibility alone should have killed them all. Political analysts called it a calculated move, a human's desperate gambit for leverage. But Camden had simpler reasons. They were dying, and he could help. Everything else was noise. He'd stripped off his thermal gear and laid down between them, sharing what warmth his mammalian biology could provide. Khaleesi's carapace was cold as metal against his left side. Her sister's equally frigid form pressed against his right. He'd wrapped them all in emergency blankets and held perfectly still, letting his body become their furnace. The first night, he wasn't sure any of them would see morning. Khaleesi regained consciousness on the second day. She said nothing, but her bioluminescent patterns shifted from threat to something Camden couldn't interpret. She didn't pull away. Her sister's breathing, a strange, whistling sound through spiracles along her thorax, steadied and strengthened. On the third night, while Camden dozed between them, Khaleesi did something unprecedented in Zothreen history. She touched him, not to harm, not to analyze, but in what her species might approximate as gratitude. Her chitinous hand rested on his chest, feeling the strange, rapid rhythm of his human heart. Her sister, still weak, unconsciously curled closer to the heat source, one of her delicate limbs draping across Camden's waist. That was when the rescue ships arrived, both human and Zothreen. Drawn by the distress beacon Camden had finally activated. That was when the scanners captured the image that would flood every news feed in the known galaxy. A human male sleeping peacefully between two Zothreen princesses, their bodies intertwined in a way that should have been biologically impossible and culturally unthinkable. The Zothreen queen herself appeared before the Celestial Council, her massive form bristling with barely contained fury. Every species representative prepared for war. Humans, they assumed, had finally crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Then Khaleesi spoke. She testified for 3 hours, her words translated and broadcast across 100 worlds. She spoke of cold and darkness, of feeling her sister's life fading, of the certainty of death. She spoke of the human who'd asked nothing, expected nothing, who'd simply shared what warmth he had because it was the right thing to do. "We are the daughters of the Queen," Khaleesi said, her voice ringing with formal precision. "We are bred for conquest, designed for dominance, engineered to be superior. Yet we survived because a species we deemed primitive chose compassion over calculation." She turned to face the human delegation, her compound eyes finding Camden in the crowd. "The galaxy took notice when we slept beside a human. Let them notice this as well. The Zothreen are not too proud to acknowledge a debt, not too superior to recognize nobility when we see it. The Queen's decree shocked the galaxy. Humans were to be granted full council status, their colonies protected under Zothreen treaty law. Trade routes opened. Technology transfers began. The barriers that had kept humanity on the fringes of galactic society crumbled in a matter of weeks. Historians would call it the Threshold Accord, the moment humanity's status in the galaxy fundamentally changed. Political scientists would analyze it for generations, studying the intricate ways a single act of kindness could reshape interstellar relations. But Camden, watching Khaleesi address the council with fierce dignity, understood it more simply. Sometimes survival wasn't about superior technology or evolved biology. Sometimes it was just about warmth shared in the dark, about choosing to help when you could simply walk away. The galaxy had taken notice of them sleeping together, but what truly mattered was what they'd awakened to find, that the space between species could be bridged by something as simple and as profound as compassion. And in a cold, calculating universe that changed everything,